I'm here to shed some light on some things. And you guys, if you enjoy light, you should probably stay around because this may make you feel better or make you feel worse about the chapter. I'm gonna be honest, it didn't help anything for me because I'm kind of just in the middle of the chapter. It's like, Yamato probably should have joined, but with her not joining, that's probably for the best. But let's break it down real quick, all right? Why are people mad? Why are people saying Oda fell off, Oda fumbled the end of Wano, Wano is mid, Wano did not live up to the hype, which is true. That's the only thing I agree with. Wano did not live up to the hype. Why are people saying this? Like, people are legitimately outraged. Go on Twitter and type in Wano or type in One Piece chapter 1057. Probably gonna see more negative than positive. However, Twitter is not the only people that watch One Piece or read One Piece. Either way, bro, what's the point of this? Okay, so we have some information from a native Japanese speaker from Reddit, and his account is named Happy Tom. Got this from somebody linked this to me on Twitter, actually. So Twitter can be good at times. And they're explaining exactly what Hiyori was trying to convey and the purpose of what Hiyori was trying to say by saying the Kurozumi were born to burn. And again, I've had multiple people that are Japanese native speakers that have translated this chapter, translated this actual message, and they didn't agree with it. I'm gonna give you guys some perspective. First off, if you're a true fan of One Piece, things like this, it excites you. For me, it's exciting what's going on because Oda, again, is drumming up conversation, intentional or not. Oda's been writing the story for a long time, so I doubt this is unintentional. Either way, hear me out. Before I read this, I want to just paint the picture as to why people are mad. So first off, one, people are mad because Yamato didn't join the crew. You felt like you were introduced to a character that had some issues, and you felt like this character was going to overcome its issues to, at some point, become Straw Hat worthy. There are different criteria that people place on becoming a Straw Hat. For Yamato, I felt like she checked every box except that character arc in regards to knowing herself and being herself. By the end of Wano, she was still trying to emulate Oden. So here we go, no Yamato. She's out. Yamato, Yamabro, whatever you want to call her, she's out. Now we move on. People are mad at that. Secondly, people are mad at some of the plot points Oda just cut off in Wano. Some Zoro stuff, some swordsman stuff, some Big Mom stuff, some Kaido stuff. And it felt like as long as Wano was, it still feels incomplete. There are a lot of things in Wano that still feels like there's still meat on the bone that we needed to consume, but Oda had a deadline, or rather he had somewhere to get to. And coming out, reports have confirmed that Oda was trying to match up Shanks showing up in Wano to film Red, which is problematic in its own right. However, I digress. So people are mad at that stuff. And then also the end of the chapter. The Kurozomi were born to burn. So the perspective of the people that are mad comes from this. It's an obvious pun from Odin was born to boil. We remember the famous saying, I am Odin and I was born to boil. Bam, shot to the head, Kaido, killing me dead. So now in this recent chapter, they all chimed in. The citizens all said, we all know their name means charcoal. So all together now, like they said for Odin, the Kurozomi were born to burn because their name means charcoal. Not necessarily all the Kurozomi were born to burn, but because their name means charcoal, it makes a lot of sense to say right now they're born to burn because Orochi at that point in time, he was burning, right? Easy peasy lemon squeezy. But no, the problem that people are having with this scene is that Kozuki Hiyori is continuing a narrative of persecution and basically failing to break the cycle. We have to pay attention to what's stated here. They're saying the country's 20 years of torturous memories fueled her heart, which translates to all the things she went through. She hates the Kurozomi, as she should. No one is disputing that she should not hate the Kurozomi. But a lot of times being in power means that you should do the things that you probably don't want to, but you have to, especially leading a country. Again, she's not the leader technically, but she has significant power and influence. So why is this significant? Why are people making this a big deal? It's an obvious pun, Brago. Yes, but we have to think about the history of Wano. If we go back to chapter 971, where we find out about Orochi, the story of Wano tries to paint Orochi as this terrible, despicable human being, which he is. But like everything in One Piece, typically there's a reason behind it. Every scumbag, well, most scumbags you can think of, there's a reason behind the way they are. People think Doflamingo's a scumbag, a reason behind it. People think Hody Jones is a scumbag, a reason behind it. Arlong, reasons behind it, right? They have been corrupted by the society that was bred, honestly, by the Celestial Dragons. That's why Eustace Captain Kidd said, hey, what I've done, the criminal that I am, pales in comparison to the people that rule, the Celestial Dragons. Not saying Wano is of the same accord. However, Wano is just as bad as the world government. That society, that history. Meaning, Orochi explains what happened back in the day. He said years ago his grandfather committed a crime and was forced to commit seppuku. Okay, so now the Kurozomi, they were a big thing, but their clan fell into ruin. And that's one thing. Now they're no more. The clan is no longer honored. But then what happened is the rest of the family left behind. They were chased and terrorized by strangers who claimed they were performing justice. That's the thing. People do so many things in the name of justice. Doflamingo and his family, they were stoned in the name of justice. They're celestial dragons, so it doesn't matter. You have to pay for what celestial dragons did to my people. And so the Kurozomi, as a family, a lot of them were killed and thrown into the river. So at this point, Orochi has PTSD. He said he couldn't sleep. The man that committed the crime was dead. His grandfather was dead. But he's saying that even a child can be a criminal. And if he happens to have the name of Kurozomi, because the same thing happened to Kanjuro. And here's the thing that's genius about it, is that Oda has highlighted that people that we deem good believe that a son should not suffer from the sins of his father. However, Ace was not given that treatment because Ace was to be made an example of specifically because he was Roger's son. But Ace did things himself, so no one can justify or go against what the world government was trying to do because Ace was a pirate. He chose that route. Or did he? Conversation for another day. Back to Orochi. In this situation, Orochi chose vengeance, and everything he did was to slight the Kozuki because of everything he had gone through. So with this, a lot of people had in their minds that at some point Oda will address what happened to the Kurozomi in the past was wrong. Instead, we have Hiyori's message at the end of the chapter saying the Kurozomi were born to burn. And Doflamingo is a prophet in all of this, saying, yo, the winner chooses history. If Orochi had remained in power, the Kozuki, they would be the criminals. He had changed the message in the schools, and that typically comes to the winner. However, what people was expecting is with Wano and the new rulers, they're going to be people that are upstanding. They're going to change the narrative that's in their country because honestly, everything that Wano went through was because of what they did to Kurozumi. Okay, grandfather committed a crime, seppuku. The family is dishonored, cool. But then people took justice upon themselves to basically kill the Kurozumi. Why this is bad? This is very akin to fascism. I want to clarify this. She's not wrong for how she's feeling. What she's doing is wrong because even if she means, right, that the Kurozomi were born to burn and it's a specific thing, there are people around. If there are any Kurozomi that's left, they're going to get the same treatment. Even if it's not from the Wano government or the people that are in control, people that are around hearing this message, this problematic message, they're going to take justice into their own hands like they did in the past. The Kurozumi are going to suffer because of the sins of Orochi, and Orochi suffered because of the sins of his grandfather. When do we break the cycle? Again, I think Oda intentionally made this the way because, again, when I think about Doflamingo and Corazon, Hiyori and Momonosuke could be the same way. They both went through very turbulent times in Wano, outside of Wano. Most part, Hiyori in Wano, Momonosuke outside of Wano and in Wano. Momonosuke is trying to bring everyone together, trying to be the best ruler possible. Hiyori, her heart is filled with vengeance. She's around people that would probably help her with that, but right now, her heart is filled with hate. And it could be like a Corazon and Doflamingo situation where Momonosuke is on one side, Hiyori's on one side. Of course, that's jumping the gun a bit, but it could trend that way based on what she's saying because it's very problematic at face value, but I think intentionally so. But I've said before, even if something is intentional, doesn't mean it's good. And so when you go through a story like Wano, the very beginning of this situation was because of someone suffering from the sins of their father or grandfather, and for it to come back around and it feels like our characters learned nothing, some people can be infuriated. But for me, I'm loving the conversation because now people are thinking, because people are not really sure why they're upset. Some people aren't sure. They're like, I just don't like this. It feels wrong. Some people are like, well, it's just a pun, like not a big deal. Other people are going a bit deeper. Now, I know I've talked a lot. Let's get to the actual conversation, the actual translation by a Japanese native, and they're trying to break down what Hiyori really meant. Here we go. They said, this originally was my reply to a comment, but let me post here again. I'm a native Japanese speaker, and here was what was written in the raws, and whatever it says. It says, when translated to English, it means that the Kurozomi is literally meant to be burnt. The name Kurozomi directly translates to black charcoal, and as you know, we use charcoal by burning it. This is a direct parallel to Odin saying, whatever it is, I am Odin and I am born to boil, before his demise. This is also plain words, as Oden is a type of pot dish consisting of a variety of boiled ingredients. So what Hiyori meant was that Kurozomi Orochi specifically was born to be burnt to death, much like how Odin was boiled till he died, right? We understand that. It's not like she wanted the whole Kurozomi bloodline to die, but instead referencing to how Orochi would ultimately kick the bucket. Like someone else have already mentioned, there's no indication to if Hiyori meant to say Kurozomi in a plural form. It's one line from a manga. No need to get so political about it. Trust me, it's not that bad as you might think it is in the original version. It sounds hateful in English because burn can also mean die or kill in some cases, whereas to burn is exclusively used to describe the act of producing flames by the burning of fuels or materials or damaging something by fire. So he says some other things, but that's the most interesting here, right? Because he's saying it doesn't sound as bad in Japan. But let's be honest, there are a lot of things that don't sound as bad in Japan, right? I'm not going to get into it right now, but Japan. I just want to say as well, political conversations right? Those are the backbone of One Piece. This is why we love it. We can't just chalk it up to just one line in the manga. I don't like that. Don't patronize me, all right? Don't do that, please. However, back to the point at hand. The pun is charcoal, but there are jokes and puns that can be made and still be in bad taste. You can make a pun or joke on gay meaning happy when you're talking about the Okama, and some people are like, oh, it's just a pun. It's just, some people are gonna be like, don't think that's really funny. We're not even gonna get that deep. I'm talking about the message in the story, which again, this is what I love about it. We're talking about it, and it's leading to so many different theories or theoretical explanations as to what Oda was trying to convey. This is the chapter of subverting expectations, where what you expect is not what you're gonna get. For Yamato, you expected her to join the crew. You did not get that. For Hiyori, you expected her to be the bigger person and somehow talk about the Kurozomi in a glowing manner to stop and end the cycle. You did not get that. You got the true raw version of how these characters feel, where Yamato is going to, at the end, be Odin or try to be Odin, and Hiyori, she is fueled by her rage based on what she went through 20 years, for 20 years. The despicable things she saw at the hands of a Kurozomi. She's supposed to feel that way. But this tells me something. This is the major point here. What you expect going into this One Piece story, the end of the story, this final saga may not be what you want. I had an expectation that once we get to the end of the story, all the bad Marines will be gone and it will be headed by good Marines. I don't think that's the case. I think we're gonna get rid of the Celestial Dragons, and then some bad Marines are still gonna be there. Piracy is still gonna be there. We still have to eradicate pirates. All the pirates will not be wiped out just because the Celestial Dragons are gone. You take out the great evil, sure. Something else always manifests. Not saying that's what Hiyori is gonna be, but evil exists akin to good. And as great as Momonosuke and his people are, you have this small seed being planted by Hiyori that's probably overlooked, that no one will ever think about until some of Orochi's children come together, they infiltrate the castle, bada bing, bada boom, we're back to square frickin' one. It may not have been that deep for Oda. However, for us analyzing and breaking down the story, how can you not notice that? It is a very prevalent thing in One Piece. Kids bearing the sins of their father. Akainu had it out for Luffy just because he was the son of Dragon. Bro, he stepped over Ace to get to Luffy saying, nah, son of Dragon, I'm on your ass. Now at the end here, you're gonna ask me, is this a good thing or a bad thing? Guys, I'm gonna be honest with you. It's just a part of the story. But I think overall, this is good. This is pretty good. It is exploring a different perspective and letting us know, somewhat preparing us for the final saga. Go into this with an open mind. And for people that are upset, I understand. You have the right to feel however you feel about art. Subjectivity all the way. However, don't try to sway somebody that doesn't agree with you. If I like it, I like it. If I don't, I don't. How I feel about this? Great for conversation. Not what I expected for sure. I expected Hiyori to be the stand-up person. She said, nah, forget that. I want smoke. And again, it's a pun, but the pun was in bad taste because of what the implications could be, because she's hurt. After all these years, seeing her father die, there's nothing that can overcome that pain at that point, in the heat of the moment, in the heat of battle, pun intended. So guys, we'll end it here. Give me your thoughts. Maybe this made you feel better, maybe it made you feel worse, but we're gonna talk about it. And this is the conversation that I enjoy, and this is what One Piece does for me, is that it spurs on conversation, especially political conversations. We're talking about fascism, not quite racism, but the people of Wano, they're known to be somewhat despicable people in certain instances. They were trying to burn the Kurozomi, they killed Kanjuro's parents, not trying to burn the Kurozomi, they burned and killed a lot of Orochi's relatives, killed Kanjuro's parents, were trying to kill Inu and Neku and Kawamatsu because they were different. The people of Wano, they're very close-minded because they're stuck in this bubble. Even devil fruits were foreign to them. So honestly, the best thing Hiyori can do is go on a journey, leave Wano, go out and see a bit more, see different things in people, but she should understand that. But that hurt and pain, it's understandable. She went through a lot over these past 20 years. But guys, give me your thoughts. How do you feel about it? Because there's some interesting shit. If you enjoy this, even a little bit, sub to the channel. There's a lot more to come, especially towards the final saga. We're going to do a lot more analysis on specific characters. I'm right now intrigued to do an Orochi analysis and a Yamato analysis, and it's coming, I promise you. But guys, give me your thoughts. Like the video, follow me on Twitter because we're having a conversation over there, and on Instagram. And boy, this is going to be a fun week.
I start doubting me, I felt lost.